There's so many stresses in life. It's like living in hell. It really is, isn't it? I think one of the biggest things is that perfection doesn't exist. So I think too many people strive for the impossible, and too many people are quick to judge others um, for anything they do in their life. They may, if so many people are too judgmental, they expect people to live their path and things. And it's like, but none of us are perfect. So why would you mirror someone else's path? It's like we take pieces of wisdom and we'll interpret that in our own way. We'll decide accordingly of how we want to live and the choices we make. At the end of the day, it's like as long as we're accountable, that's the one thing I always say. We just be accountable. If something doesn't work out, then we just have to take ownership of that. Don't have to beat ourselves to death about it. I'll learn from that experience. Maybe I'll do something different next time. If I don't, perhaps we'll reap the same result. It's on me. I think so many people they focus so heavily on others' lives, just to criticize some things. It's like just stay in your own lane. Stay in your own lane. I was thinking about sort of my daughter, for instance, the lesson, the things we want to ingrain within them. Like with her, I want her to have absolute freedom over her life, and I want her to understand that she has that. It's not about impressing anyone. It's not even about impressing me. It's absolutely you don't have to do any of that. You literally just have to live life on your terms and be true to yourself. That's it. What do you want for your life? And, adjust your life accordingly. Um, and I think some of the things I do would be considered unhinged to the majority of people. But when it works out, I think she gets to see a glimpse of, there is a method to the madness here. You have literally autonomy of our lives. We literally have freedom. So I've recently shared a few like job opportunities I've had where I've declined an opportunity. I went for one day somewhere. I recognized within that day that's not for me. Um, yeah, people have perceptions of that. A lot of people think it's flaky. They think you should just suck it up and get on with it. It's like that's your life, not mine. I don't suck anything up. Not interested. Why would I keep myself miserable just to conform? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't care if people gossip behind my back. I don't care if people come up with opinions as to why I didn't stay. Think what you want. And that's what'll happen. In workplaces, for instance, you'll have people gossip up behind your back after you've left because they'll come up with their own sort of story, their own narrative about why you left. They might think, oh, they couldn't handle it. Oh, all these things. It's like, no, I just want better for myself, and that wasn't going to make me happy. For instance, it was a forklift role. It was supposed to be forklift, like forklift slash warehouse, but predominantly forklift work. So I had to go through a whole assessment for the forklift, and it's like a whole other test, just like I had for my refresher course. It was that level of intensity. So I go through that whole process, and then I get put on an area, designated area of the company where it's minimal forklift. Like, why put me through such a test? I don't mind not doing just forklift all the time, but there has to be a method to the madness. Like what is my role going to be, and is that something I really want to be doing? It's because I can go somewhere else and do what I want to do, and that's the whole point. We have options. So yeah, people will talk behind your back as to this and that, and it's like not really. First of all, it's agency work. I can explain it here, because I think it's important to rationalize, not to explain to them, but to explain the method to my madness. I got going in, I knew certain things. But once it like added up and added up and added up, it was too much for me. I was like, that doesn't interest me. I can go somewhere else. So it was an agency role, so you don't get holiday allowance instantly. You have to build it up. I think it's like a half a day or a day every 2 weeks or something, half a day every 2 weeks or something like that. So let's say I wanted a holiday in a few months. I may not have enough accrued to have that holiday. So even if by some fortunate event they approved the holiday, I may only get paid half of the holiday. So that month you're getting less pay. These little things that adds up. Um, we was forced to, in this role, they had to wear their own boots, which weren't comfortable at all. Mine were more expensive. Mine were better, more than functional. They were, I should have been allowed to wear what you would in a traditional sort of environment. There was no tea break room. Like they was told there would be a cafeteria. This area was designated within the actual where you're working. They just boarded it off a little bit, and I thought this is weird. There's no locker, so there's nowhere for your privacy, nowhere to put your personal belongings. There's no security of it. Um, Yeah, and it was just all these little things, and the role just was not what I wanted. So yeah, on the outside, people could think, "Oh, you should have just stayed there." Well, okay, you could do it if you want. And it was literally just above minimum wage. It wasn't very good at all. Like, so yeah, I thought they were asking a lot for little. Be honest, give a little, but you expect a lot. I don't really want to do that. So anyway, another opportunity come, and I've had another assessment on the forklift. But this is more what I was talking about. Like, this is it. Like, if I'm gonna work on a forklift, for instance, just give me the truck and let me get on with my job. You know, let me just do the job. And it looks to me like predominantly the most of the day will be on a forklift. And I'm thinking that's more what I'm talking about. That's what I want to do. If I'm gonna do this sort of work, just give me the tools to do the job. So effectively, it'll be load and unload lorry trailers, like trailers. There'll be internal work on a flexi truck, which is a bit more specialized. So, like for instance, job offer I've been given, it includes an extra allowance because you're qualified to do that truck because I showed them I could use. They watched me. But other people, for instance, may have to go through maybe a few months before they're even allowed to even test to go on that. So their wages would be lower. But I'm going straight in at the higher rate. That's nice. It's 4 on, 4 off, so it's 12-hour shifts. So they're long shifts, but that ain't too. I like the idea of that. You know, if you get fed up at all, it's like literally you've only got a few days, and I'm off for 4. So even if it's heavy or anything, it's like yeah, but I'm off for 4 days once I'm off, and that comes around every 4 days. So yeah, I'm excited about that. It's a bit of a trek, bit of a journey for me to get there, but it's fine. Um, and like if I hadn't turned down those other roles, this one wouldn't have come. I wouldn't be taking on this role. Like I do well at interviews. I tend to, if I once I get an interview stage or get to talk to someone, I usually do well. So I was offered a permanent role before that other one I turned down, but that was a bit of a mess. It was like we're going through a restructuring. It wasn't organised, and it was obviously going to be chaos for the next 6 months to a year. And I just thought that's going to give me a headache. You know, it was good base salary, um, but I turned that down as well. So really, I'm not trying to boast in any way because it's not like boastful. I'm just trying to show really, and I want to lead by example to my daughter is that just just follow your own path. If you, I don't, just do what you want to do. If you walk into a position and you don't feel it and you don't like it, just don't be afraid to walk away. Money comes, money goes, opportunities come and go. You'll find something that will fit and align with you if you keep giving yourself the opportunity to find it. If you just give up at the first sign of something because you feel like society tells you I must stay here, or I'm looking unhinged or something, it's like that's really stupid because you're holding yourself captive and prisoner. Um, so in the eyes of perfection in some people, it's very imperfect the way others live, But then it's like we're not trying to be other people. It's really important that we be ourselves. And that's literally what I want from her. I just want her to follow her own path and don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to try things and figure out what you don't like. And then you figure, because effectively you start aligning with the things you do. So, like, for instance, if you're going to talk like warehouse forklift work stuff I've done most of my life, I know the difference. Now, other people may not if they've never worked in the industry. I know the difference between sort of engineering, manufacturing, factory work and sort of warehouse, distribution, logistics. They're separated, but some people might think it's all the same. The environments are very, very different. Um, I prefer just to I prefer just to work with the stock. Put it away, pick it, um, and then get it prepared, ready for shipping and things like that. And then I don't mind and then using the forklift to do all of it. Stow it, take it, load, unload, whatever. It's simpler. It's sensible. It makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's not complicated, and it doesn't give you a headache. Working in factory work and engineering and things, it's just a mess. It's a mess and it's a headache. Um, and it's not structured. It's like I don't like that. I like to work in the play in how I want to operate. So distribution, logistics, and things for me is far more interesting. But yeah, so someone maybe they don't know and they just go into the wrong environment and they think this is normal. It's like it's normal for that environment, but if you haven't tried the others. So I know exactly what I'm looking for. That's the thing. So if I'm going to work in warehousing and I'm going to work on a forklift, for instance, I know the sort of businesses I want to work for, and it's predominantly just the logistics side. I'm not interested in anything where you've got where there's manufacturing involved and stuff. I don't want to be a part of that process. It's like I just want to be where they store the products and it's distributed. That's literally you keep me there and I'm good. Um, so yeah, yeah, and that's what I've effectively found. It's literally a transport logistics company. Um, so they store the stock for, I don't think it's for long periods, and literally trailers come in, so lorries come in, and you just load them up and they take them away. And of course, there'll be unloading as well. And then like I say, there's going to use the flexi trucks. I've got to get more climatized with that, but it's just something I've done in the past, so I can do it anyway. But yeah, it pays better than the other jobs. I think it's just over £14 an hour in the UK. It's not like huge amounts of money, but it's still better than a lot of the other warehouse roles and forklift roles. And like I say, 4 on, 4 off, 12-hour shifts. Like I said, if you get fed up, you got days coming up off. You know, the other one I turned down that was less pay. That one at the engineering place that was 4 days a week, and then you'd get the 3 days off. But that always was at weekends and things. So it's Friday, Saturday, which was ideal. That was nice. Um, but I'm not going to stay somewhere just because the timetable sounds good. This is just as good. Maybe not as good in terms of that, but then at the same time, you get longer off all the time. You always get 4 days off every time. So that's refreshing. And that helps me with my books, for instance. In the past, I've had to leave jobs to write my books. Now I wouldn't have to do that because, okay, 4 days I'm busy, 4 days I'm not. I can work around that. So hopefully this will help give me the basis to start thriving again, because it has been a really, really stressful past few years. Self-inflicted, but part of the journey, part of the process. But you can see I always come out on top. I always come out on top. Always, it doesn't mean it ain't hard in the process. But if you want to build a life that you want and the one that you're proud of, it's kind of like you're the one that's going to have to make the decisions. And it's not always going to make sense to people. So you could argue it's imperfectly perfect. That's the thing with me. Like I beat to my own drum, so I do take accountability. Um, but I also have incredibly high standards in my life. I won't make myself miserable for anything. Sometimes there's a balance. You can't guarantee not being in misery, of course, but I think more misery of time. I can cope with um strained finances. I can cope in poverty. I'm not saying it's healthy. Not saying it's nice. Not saying it doesn't come with its own form of stress. But I can't feel like a prisoner in a workplace. For instance, someone having control of me and I'm their puppet. I just can't do it. If I'm not happy, then that misery just compounds upon me, and it's like I can't do it. I will walk away and regain my freedom. Um, yeah, so look, there's a lot of lessons I think my daughter will go through in life, but the one I just really hope that she really takes on board is to just don't ever let anyone have um, control of your freedom, because that's the one thing we all have. But people just let life get in the way sometimes because life is full of stresses, and and I think people should just go easier on themselves. That's really important because I think they don't maybe give themselves enough credit. I think for overcoming the things they do in their everyday life, there's just so many things that we deal with all the time. If you consider like life as like hell on earth, if you consider it as hell on earth, we're very, I wouldn't say fortunate, but I'd say we do well to get through each day. There's always a challenge. So many little things, whether it's, relationships, whether it's finances, your circumstances, everything and anything, your environment. There's so many things weighing us down. And I think to survive and perhaps even thrive, that's takes some doing. But I think too many people, they compare to others. So let's say someone seems to be successful, someone's doing well in their life. You don't know the journey it took to get there. And you don't know how sustainable it is. You know, Opportunities come and go. You see it all the time. People go to the top, they drop down to the bottom. Someone else goes to the. It's like it just happens. It's just life. You just got to go with the flow. I think comparing all the time and especially feeling jealous of others is just a waste of time. It really is, because all we can do is focus. Like being resentful of someone else isn't going to uplift your life. So there's no point. And I think trying to copy or mirror what someone else has done, absolutely doesn't make sense, because then you're just aligning with a life that isn't true to you. So you lose your identity. And I don't see the point of losing your identity. So I'm not interested in being a mirror of anyone else. I'm always me. If that brings me success, then great. If it brings me more lessons, then so be it. You know, but the one thing I won't do is sell out. I won't sell myself out. I won't minimize my dreams, my aspirations. I want my who I am, my authenticity, because I don't want to be anything other than me. So people can judge, people can laugh, people can ridicule, people can talk behind my back. If it makes them feel good, doesn't affect my life, doesn't affect my decisions. It makes absolutely no difference. It's just sometimes that's what it is, though. Sometimes people think that they have more of an impact on your life than they do. Like they have literally no impact. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. Anyone's opinion of me. Why should it? They don't know my journey. They don't know why I make the decisions. I might talk about it in periods and pockets, but they don't know absolutely, how I see everything. I see it all falling into place. I just do what I want to do, and there's always like a method to the madness. I always say that, like when I've left jobs, for instance, and I've done my books, I don't expect immediate success from my books, or even any success from the books. But I always make the point I can return to jobs like this later, though. You'll still be here because you're scared to step outside your comfort zone. That's fine if that works for you, but you don't seem particularly happy right now. So I don't know what you think. If you're not going to change anything, I don't know what you expect is going to change. If you're miserable today and you're too scared to step outside your comfort zone, then it stands to reason you're likely to be miserable for the foreseeable future, perhaps even the rest of your life. But I think when you step outside that area and you push yourself, you give yourself a chance for freedom and even to be proud of ourselves at least. So like I say, I've done my 6 books. Even if I don't do any more, which isn't going to happen because I've got others in development, but even if I didn't and I went back into warehousing and stayed there, I still achieved something. It doesn't matter if people recognize it. It doesn't matter if it sells. People could laugh and ridicule at that, couldn't they? They could sit there and go, oh my God, I can't believe all this effort, it hasn't even been successful. So, okay, that's your perception of success. Mine is that I did something outside my comfort zone. I pushed myself as far as I could. And for me, that's an achievement. That's success. If your version of success is only based on popularity, then I feel sad for you. You could go by my YouTube channels, for instance. I got my gaming one. I did a video yesterday and it's only got like 3 views. Yeah, I put it on TikTok in a different way, smaller snippets. I haven't done it for that reason, like to get bigger attention. I just like to share things. All of a sudden, people are liking it. I say it's got a lot more attention on that platform than it did on this platform. So that pretty much says that there are people that enjoy it, but you haven't found your audience yet. So once I find my audience, all of a sudden, maybe you do get recognition. Not that I'm seeking it, and maybe my life changes as a consequence. That'd be nice though, wouldn't it? To sort of give yourself a new lease of life, new opportunities, new experiences. But yeah, I think people are too quick to easily try to minimize something to make themselves feel strong or positive. But it's like, I know what I'm doing. I'm not looking to follow everybody else. I'm beating to my own drum and I'm proud of me. And yeah, I consider what I've done successful, even if it doesn't seem successful, if that makes sense. What I mean? No one can minimize the journey to me. It doesn't make a difference to me. It really doesn't. I just find the people that try to bring people down, they're just weak-minded, posturing themselves as strong. But I see through the facade. Because if they were strong, they would try to do something remarkable with their lives rather than be like sheep, mirroring and copying each other and wasting so much time and energy gossiping and talking about other people rather than uplifting their own lives. People who strive for something more, they haven't got time to keep doing that. They recognize it's wasted energy. The energy you put towards other people, you could have put towards yourself. So why are you not doing that? It shows a flaw, doesn't it? Because it shows that you don't have the confidence in self to literally achieve something. So instead you waste time trying to ruin and destroy someone else because it's the only way to keep things even. But anyway, these are little things. This is all I want for my daughter, is to give her the strength to be herself. And, and recognize, I mean, she already does, though, how hard life is, and to get out of any of it, no matter what that task is it takes a lot of strength. We're all going through something in life, and I think it's very naive to think people are not. That gets on my nerves a little bit, to be totally honest. When someone's struggling or someone achieves something, others are quick to say, oh, "Well, I'm going through this." It's like, it's not a competition, though. You're losing sense of what someone's just been through. You can acknowledge an achievement and progress or someone's trauma. It doesn't always have to be minimized because you want to validate. That makes no sense, because what's going to happen is that person who refuses to acknowledge the other person's journey is going to expect everybody else to fall at their feet, at theirs. But there'll always be someone worse. There'll always be someone worse. But does that mean that everybody before hasn't been through something or doesn't deserve some sort of praise or some sort of recognition? That's ridiculous. I've always said it before. There's no point sharing your journey if that's the case, because everybody's just competing all the time. Ask yourself, what are we competing for? Effectively, we should just be we should be living to uplift our lives, overcome circumstances, try to achieve like our biggest success in whatever that is. It doesn't have to be the same as everyone else. We've established that anyone trying to mirror me would be just stupid, because it's like my goals and dreams are not other people's goals and dreams. In the same way, theirs are not mine. There's no point me trying to be a freaking sports star or a musician or something when it ain't my skill. We have maybe minimal talents in something, but if it's not your gift, we should be embracing our gifts, and it's figuring that out, because we all have something in us that sets us apart. And it's like once you sort of like live in that, everything else just becomes effortless. It's like you're just living and breathing your authenticity, who you are. Um, so so yeah. And I find that quite beautiful. When I see people being themselves, I literally I gravitate to that. I absolutely love it, because I do recognize that purity of it, in a very, very toxic world. It's crazy, isn't it? Um, so yeah, that's why I do the videos. Really, I just want people to sort of like see the beauty in themselves and just try achieve something. Push yourself outside your comfort zone. Don't be scared to make mistakes. Don't be scared to just like struggle for a moment. God damn, I've struggled most of my life, but if I regretted the struggle or the decisions I make, I would choose differently. But look at me. I'm still considered reckless because I refuse to minimize my ambition and my pursuit for happiness, because that's what we're all in, isn't it? If we're not all in our pursuit of happiness, what the hell are we doing? If you're not trying to be happy, you've got to ask yourself, why are you trying so hard to be miserable? So I'm not trying to be miserable. I've recognized, and I speak a lot, that sometimes I'm not happy. It's just where I'm at in life. I've not reached that happiness yet. But every day I'm working towards acquiring that happiness. And sometimes it's about just investing in ourselves. Talk about that a lot. If you're talking about soulmates and things, your soulmate, let's say people go, oh, love is impossible. Well, love's impossible because you invest in the wrong people and you haven't even invested in yourself yet. So it's going to take a lot of healing. But once you embody your purest self, that will naturally attract whoever your counterpart is. And think about it: if you would never accomplish that, never seen your worth, you would never exude that energy that would attract them. So you just go through life like attracting the wrong people because that is literally what you're exuding. Makes no sense. So why don't we just focus on uplifting ourselves, pursue our own happiness, and things will gravitate to us as we go. In the same way, these jobs are now just starting to sort of throw themselves at me. I'm getting opportunities all over the place, and I've had to really just shut the door on it now, because I've had a few other opportunities just email and text message me and things, and I'm like, nah, we're just going to be bouncing everywhere here. The other one, this 4 on 4 off, it's good. I like the idea of this. The fact that it's on the forklifts all the time, I haven't got to mess about with anything else, at least that's from my knowledge. Um, and hopefully it'll give me the platform to be able to grow. I resent working 5 days a week. I think it's ridiculous. I think it really is. Life should be balanced, and the way that people traditionally work is not balanced. When you look at it, some people think maybe they work at a 9 to 5. Let's just say 9 to 5. Most people work earlier than that, but let's just say 9 to 5. You lose them days entirely. You've just literally eating and sleeping. You're exhausted. You're just eating and sleeping. Now, I've said it before. Your Saturdays are recovering from the week you just had, and Sundays preparing for the week ahead. So when do you truly relax? Are you living for work? Because that's all it's doing. It's living to work. So then you've got to ask yourself, people get defensive of that. Oh, no, I'm not. It gives me things. Well, what does it give you? Because for the most part, it just pays your bills. So these are the things that sort of like bound and tie us. They keep us sort of attached and prisoner to a circumstance. Most of these things are like mandatory payments and things where the government and society are sort of like got us in a loop. Then maybe we think, I'm not having that. I'm going to give myself things. So, like for me, I like my sports package, I like my TV. That's a distraction from life. But it's sometimes the only thing we got for a moment just to give us some peace. Um, but literally, all we're doing is hemorrhaging money to sustain the misery that we're sort of like forced into. That's literally what a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday situation is. Um, it really does drive me nuts. Then maybe you got some spare money and you manage to get yourself a holiday or so buy yourself some nice things, like a lot of material things, mind you, which again are just distractions from life for the most part. Some people go mental, just keep shopping and shopping and shopping to fill an empty void in themselves. So it gives them a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness. Then they have to keep buying because it's not it's not fulfilling. It doesn't sustain us. So yeah, 9 to 5, you make a decent salary, but you literally that is your role in life. It's a bit sad, isn't it? So, like I say, if you can break free from that matrix, I think it's a good thing. So the role that I've been offered, like it's not Monday to Friday, it's 4 on 4 off. So sometimes you're going to work weekends, sometimes it's going to work out beautiful where you get a really long weekend. But ultimately, I think just forget the days themselves is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to worry so much it's a weekend because your weekend can be in the week. It doesn't matter, does it? You got 4 days off. Who cares whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday anymore? Like just have whatever. So yeah, so it's you go in, do your 4 days, then you're off for four, which is great because most people only get 2 days off. I get 4 days off. And then most people go in for 5 days and I'm only going in for four. And then I get my four again. So everyone else works 5 days, you're working four. They only get 2 days off, you get 4 days off. So you're winning, aren't you? You're working one less day and you're gaining 2 extra days off all the time. Yeah, that's a win. Yeah, the days are long, but you just get on with it. I think you just suck it up for those 4 days. And if you can manage your time, you can fit a movie or something just to distract you, just to give you something a bit of happiness for that evening when you've just been at work all day. If you can, if you can't, either way, you got your 4 days coming up off. I'm just showing different examples, really. The options exist. If you're not happy with one thing, you can find something else. Sometimes you will have to take a financial loss, but then you've got to think, sometimes it's like people do this. Someone offers you £1 an hour more, $1 an hour more, whatever it is. And some people lose their mind over it. That's not a lot over a week or a month. Like it's nice to have, but it's not life changing. So why upheaval your entire life just because someone dangles a little bit of money in your face? It's better to find something you enjoy and the hours that suit you. So all these other little things, but of course the job has to, because that's the thing you're doing all the time. And then if the money's good, that's a nice bonus. That's how I treat things. Obviously, each to their own. But I don't see the point of someone waving money in your face, offering you something that's going to make you miserable, and then you just stay there out of obligation. And then what happens? What inevitably happens? You build a lifestyle gets built around this level of money, the income. I always say that people don't realize it; they don't understand. You make more money, so then they think, how can you struggle? Because their lifestyle changes. They adapt to the money they bring in. So effectively, you end up becoming prisoner to the circumstance because it's hard to then detach from that level of income to live a more mundane life in a sense. So you literally end up stuck. And I had that another workplace that I walked away from. We was getting paid really well. No one else would leave because even though they were all miserable, they moaned amongst each other. I was the only one that actually spoke up because they'd always go to me to get me riled up. But then I'd speak up. But I was also the only one to leave. I think the guts to leave, to be honest. Most people don't have courage, and they worry too much about money. But that's each their own. Live their life how they want. But they weren't happy. And I spoke to a few of them and said, like, what are you going to do? And they go, well, I'm going to stay here because the money, and we always go, it's like a job for life. I thought if you're miserable, that's your misery for life, but up to you. And that's how people live. That's the example. So I literally seen it firsthand. Again, live how you want. I'm not perfect. I'm imperfect, but I'm perfectly me, and I'm happy with that. Yeah. So, like I say, people will judge me all my life, and it's like judge away. But I want my happiness. That's what I pursue. I'm pursuing my happiness, and it comes at risks. It comes sacrifice. You know what I mean? It's like, but I won't have it any other way. So I don't care if people expect from me. It's like you've got to learn to do for you. That's the thing, isn't it? Like you could like argue, oh, someone's relying on me. Yeah, but they shouldn't. People need to rely on themselves. Yeah. So anyway, it's up to people to uplift themselves. And if you're not happy in the environment, it's like change environment. If you're not happy with your options, make new options. Simple as that. So like I say, all this goes round to say that I want my daughter to have freedom in her life, and I want her to know that you never get judgment from me. The only way I would judge in my own little way is if I knew she was keeping herself miserable out of an obligation to something, because that would piss me off, in all honesty. I'd be like, that's your choice, because obviously that's your freedom to choose. But when you're not prioritizing yourself, that's worrying, because you'll never be you. So why do it? Because people pleasing isn't any good. Feeling loyal to something isn't always the best thing, because most people are not loyal in return. So you could sacrifice a lot out of obligation, and it's never reciprocated. So really, our loyalty should be to self. Like, what do you want for your life? Not what someone expects of you. Um, and then work towards it. And then you're pursuing your happiness.